original language. It's been a unique contribution to present India to the Assamese in their own language. How have you been able to go and pick up the texture of such a varied landscape, from Vrindavan to Kashmir to construction workers working on roadsides? What is the secret of this sensibility?
Well, I was very lucky to be, I visited all these places, I was in Kashmir in 1966. After my marriage, I went there. My husband was a civil engineer, constructing bridges. I stayed with the workers in the barracks. And I learned a lot from them, their life. And so, it is an entirely unique experience for me. I wrote my first novel, The Current of Sinab, with that experience. Unfortunately, my husband was killed in an accident there, but still I continued. I went to Ahiran, Madhya Pradesh. I wrote my novel on the workers of Ahiran Aqueduct. And they were migratory labor, mostly migratory laborers, when there were no union among them. And you can imagine when there were no union in the private companies, you can imagine the condition of the workers. When my husband died in the, while in duty, his compensation was only 10,000 rupees. He was a civil engineer, full-fledged, and you can imagine the condition of the laborers.
In a sense, the strands in your novels and in your writing have been widowhood. You became a widow very, very young, in a sense, and so you have been looking, at widowhood in different social contexts across the landscape of India. Is there an India that emerges from this different experiences? Is widowhood different in Vrindavan to Madhya Pradesh or to Assam in some ways?
Well, they kind of, you can point out the similarities also, but I saw the agonies almost same everywhere. When I was in Vrindavan, these widows used to come from East, at that time it was East Pakistan. When I stayed there in 1970, they used to come from those places in East Pakistan without any valid documents, and mostly from the place like Rajshahi, and then Bakura from West Bengal. And I personally used to feel that they were thrown out from the family, and because of the financial, state, they had to come. And staying with them, I could find the difficulty which they have faced. And there are so many, I have described in detail, and in South Kamrup I have written about the widows of South Kamrup in my novel Bekwa Howda, the moth-eaten Howda of a tasker.
Well, what sort of distinguishes that, your novels and your writing, in some ways, is that beyond the sort of the physical description, which is very powerful, of course, of widowhood, that people are disowned, of being on one's own and no money and what have you, is the intense emotional processes, the intense emotional agony of aloneness, of solitude, of abandonment. So what is, from your own experience of widowhood, what is the most difficult part of being left widowed?
If you have a strength, you can live very thinly. And I had so many friends stayed with me. Then I'm always studying. And I have, you should always have a hobby or a kind of attachment towards something which, but many, people are different, the widows are different, many are uneducated, illiterate, they suffer. But then, I feel that they wanted to find out a kind of path through which they can, they go to Vrindavan, then here and there. And so I found more agony among them. Those who could not, recline to some kind of, hobbies or sadhana.
So would you say, you just mentioned sadhana, and that's what I was coming to, would you say then that this intense suffering that takes people to Vrindavan is seeking spirituality in some ways, to explain and understand their predicament? And what has been the consolation that spirituality has brought to you?
Well, it is great. I cannot imagine of my life without spirituality. I remember Radhakrishnan, and he used to say that if you become scientifically skilled and do not develop the other dimension of your soul, and do not believe that besides knowledge there are other words like wisdom, you will become a monster, not the master of your life. Anyway, spirituality is not a religion. To me, it is a humanity, part of humanity. It should be with you. Otherwise, I cannot imagine a person without having kind of spiritual, kind of a spiritual flavor in him.
What was this aspect of spirituality or the quest or religion or the metaphysical that when you were in Vrindavan, you spent, more than a year living with a snake? A snake is a very potent symbol in Indian mythology and spirituality. So obviously something was going on there. What was going on?
Well, I'm a great lover of animals. I'm strictly vegetarian. And I wrote a novel called Chinnamasta. And it is about, prohibition of the buffalo sacrifice or animal sacrifice, which is still going on in Kamakya temple. It created quite a lot of uproar. For 2000 years, nobody dared to write a novel. Nobody dared to write against animal sacrifice of Kamakya temple. I think Kamakya is the greatest Shakti Pit in India. And but I was so, if you have gone through my autobiography, you will find how I used to, run away from the, place of sacrifice, and then how I used to take shelter in Christ while reading Bible, and that something, when I was very small, I gradually learned about Hinduism and the Ramayanas, which I did my PhD anyway. But then, because my intense thing for animal, I feel that it is a manifestation of the spirituality which is, always working in me.
We'll come right back to that in a moment, spirituality.